Here are 13 reasons why the Quest 2 is better than the PSVR 2, and why you should buy the Quest 2 over the PSVR 2, and 6 reasons why the PSVR 2 is better than the Quest 2. I may get a lot of hate for this video from people who have spent a lot of money on the PSVR 2, but I don't really care, as I've spent a lot of money as well. However, it is important to help people understand what they will be getting if they choose to buy it, so they aren't disappointed. But I will caveat this by saying I really like my PSVR 2. But here are the reasons why the Quest 2 might be a better option for you. Talking about option, today we will be announcing the winner of the 50k subscriber special giveaway, where the winner can choose any game on the Quest they want. I will have more giveaways on the channel later, so make sure you're subscribed. Alright, number 1. PSVR 2 has no free games. If you've been a part of my channel for a while, you know how many great free games I bring to you on the Quest. I even have a video with over 70 free Quest games. However, the PSVR 2 does not have any free games. It has a few demos, but they're literally very short demos to see if you will like the game. Whereas on the Quest, you have a crazy amount of free games, such as Population 1 now, Spark, Hyperdash, Pavlov Shack, Gorilla Attack, Plants at War, and many more. Now the PSVR 2 is new, so may get some free games later on, but going by the PSVR 1, I doubt it. Number 2. No PCVR. For now, there is no way to connect the PSVR 2 to the PC, in case you have a powerful gaming PC. Hopefully this gets implemented in the future, but it will never get official support, I don't believe, since Sony wants to sell the games on the PlayStation. However, the Quest 2 can easily connect to the PC through a wire or even wireless. Then play all the PCVR games from Steam or even the Rift store. Plus so many more free games there, and some amazing paid ones as well. Number 3. The PSVR 2 is wired. Now, this won't be an issue if you're playing games like Gran Turismo 7, where you don't really move at all. Then it makes no difference whatsoever if you have a wire. However, for anything else, despite what all these other reviewers are saying, you can definitely feel the wire, and even tugs at you if you're sitting and playing. It's like a long ponytail. I honestly don't know how the women with Rapunzel-like hair do it. Now, there is obviously an advantage of the wire, reducing lag, making the quality better, but it is a big drawback, and I didn't realize how much I would notice it. But I guess having the Quest 2 for so long has made me a little bit spoiled. Now, would I remove the wire for more lag and lower visual quality, just to go wireless? The answer is no. I'll just have to get used to the wire as it's overall better. Number 4. Screen door effect. Now, this is a surprising one, and I'm surprised the people that received the device early didn't mention it. But when there is a still image or there is a very dark scene, there is basically a screen door effect, or what some call Mura. It's like you're inside a mosquito net. Now, when you're in a game actually playing, you don't notice it. But when there's a dark scene or a still image, it suddenly pops out of nowhere. I just don't like it. The Quest 2 on the other hand doesn't have that at all. But most likely because it has LCD displays, whereas the PSVR 2 uses OLED displays. The colors are much nicer on the PSVR 2 though, so you can have a trade-off. Overall, I prefer the Quest 2 displays because even if they're a little bit bland and not as vibrant as the PSVR 2, I don't suddenly get taken out of the immersion because of a mosquito cover. Number 5. Irreplaceable headstrap. Now the Quest 2's headstrap can be replaced, whereas the PSVR 2's can't. Now you know the Quest 2 comes with a basic headstrap, which is quite painful to actually use for a long period of time. But you can change that to whatever style you want, be it a Halo strap or a deluxe audio strap with headphones or loads of different styles. However, the PSVR 2 has a Halo headstrap design that you cannot change. Now the good thing is that the PSVR 2 headstrap is actually very comfortable. I do wish it had the top part on the head so you don't have to squeeze your skull to keep the headstrap in place, but it isn't too bad. It is actually still quite comfortable. The only thing I find annoying is the face mask. Now the face mask, although comfortable, is flimsy and can move about, and the sides can poke you in the eye. It was doing that and I was like, what the heck is this in my eye? Now when I was streaming, I kept trying to look at my chat, so it kept poking me in the eye. But also at times when playing intense movement games, it also happens. So with the Quest 2, you have a choice, and the PSVR 2 you don't, although you don't really need it for now. Number 6. The Quest 2 is easier to just put on and get on with gaming without needing to find the sweet spot each time. The PSVR 2 has a very small sweet spot. Plus I had issues with the eye tracking setup. It made it seem that my eyes were all wonky. That could be the case, but I can't do anything about that. You'd think it would accommodate for it. Although that being said, I didn't have much issues with blurriness. Not sure where people are seeing that. But it is a point to know that other people are experiencing some blurriness. For the Quest 2, I don't think I have much issues at all. I can just slip on the headset and as long as the IPD is correct, it's usually fine. So talking about IPD, number 7. Now this might be me, but the IPD adjuster, if I put it all the way down, the headset literally sits on my nose. How have they designed this that if you put the IPD to the lower setting, the lenses will be resting on your nose. So the whole headset weight will be on your nose. Now I may have a big nose and eyes that are close together for some reason, but is that really the reason, or is it a design flaw? This was my biggest issue with the headset. Although you can help that by putting the face gasket mask a bit further away from your eyes, but that messes up with the sweet spot clarity. It's kinda annoying to get that perfect setup. Number 8. Sharing the PSVR 2 is harder. Now the problem with the PSVR 2 is that if you want to share your PSVR 2 with your friends or family, or maybe show someone new to VR, you will have to go through the whole setup of eye tracking, etc. for them. On the other hand, the Quest 2, you just need to adjust the IPD and you're good to go. Now the advantage of the PSVR 2 will be that at least you know they should be seeing the best thing. Because I know, on the Quest 2, people new to VR never knew that it shouldn't be that blurry. They just accept whatever you give them. So there is an advantage, but it just takes longer. Number 9. Now, I personally hate how close the lenses are to your face. You can adjust the level of how far the lenses can get, but your eyeballs can literally touch the lenses. I personally don't like that. It steams up the lenses and could even scratch them. I've not had this issue on the Quest 2. And I'm actually worried about the PSVR 2 lenses being scratched, as it doesn't look like anything will protect it. For some reason, the Quest 2 doesn't make me worry like the PSVR 2 does, even though those lenses are kind of exposed as well. However, there are devices you can get now that you can at least cover the lenses. Number 10. The PSVR 2 doesn't have any audio without headphones or earphones, that are provided at least. Now, initially, I was amazed by how easy to use and comfortable the provided earphones are. But this was when I was playing GT7. Now, they are still comfortable, but any sort of game where you move a lot, the earphones will be falling out of your ears a lot. I was actually annoyed. Otherwise, it's actually pretty great. The Quest 2, you don't need earphones or headphones if you don't want, because it has speaker-like audio integrated into the headset. Although this isn't that big of a deal, especially since the way the provided earphones are designed, where you don't really have them dangling, and there's even a storage option for them. Number 11. Now, I've not had many issues with tracking so far on the PSVR 2, other than when trying to use a sniper rifle. Basically meaning anytime you're going to be moving the controllers a little bit behind you where the cameras can't see them, their tracking will get really bad. The Quest 2 does an amazing job at tracking, although they have had a long time to work on the tracking, but objectively it tracks a lot better. Probably because it also has better positioned cameras. So if tracking is really important for you and you'll play games where your hands can go out of sight of the tracking cameras, the PSVR 2 may frustrate you. Number 12. The controllers. Now this might just be my preference, but I have had some issues with these controllers. Once the headset is on, it takes a little bit of time to figure out which is your left controller and which is your right controller, if for any reason you have to put them down. Plus they have put the hand strap in a really awkward position. Now the buttons for me are too stiff. In comparison to the PS5 DualSense controllers where the triggers feel good, the buttons feel good, but the PSVR 2 buttons just feel stiff and don't go in as deep. This is also true for the analog sticks, as well as the grip buttons, and the trigger buttons, and even the O and X buttons. For games like Res Infinite, where you keep needing to press the X button, it actually made my fingers tired because of how hard the buttons are to press. The worst one is the hand grip though, it barely goes in. The Quest 2 on the other hand actually feels like you're pressing something. Now, I know the PSVR 2 controllers have adaptive triggers which are cool and the haptic feedback is better, but I don't think it's as good as the PS5 controller. And I do still prefer the Quest 2 controllers a little bit more when pressing buttons. But this might just be personal preference. However, the look of the PSVR 2 controllers is incredible. It looks futuristic and premium. But when the headset is on, you can't really see what your controllers look like. Number 13. No external mod support in any way, or mods in general. So, this is a massive negative from my perspective. Things like the B-haptic suit cannot really be utilized with the PSVR 2 because PlayStation doesn't allow it. This is a big negative because a lot of peripherals you may have for VR won't work with the PSVR 2. Also, I want to mention that game mods also won't work on the PSVR 2. For example, if Blade and Sorcery comes to the PSVR 2, there won't be any way to mod it, basically removing the main reason people play the game. Same thing happened with Swordsman VR. It may allow internal mods, but I'm not sure. Now, I want to mention some cool things that the PSVR 2 has that the Quest 2 does not and will never have. But just before we do, I would like to announce the winner of the Waqman 50k subscriber special giveaway is... Congratulations! Please contact me on my Discord to claim your prize. Number 1. My favorite is the eye tracking. This has two uses. One is actual games and applications are implementing it as a feature. So, I played Res Infinite. I initially played it with a controller and was okay, but then I tried it with the eye tracking where I target using my eyes, and that was amazing. I felt like I was using my mind. I still had to press the X button to shoot, but looking around with my eyes felt like I was Madara Uchiha using the Mangekyo Sharingan. The second use case should be applied for every single PSVR 2 game, and that is the foveated rendering. Basically, only rendering to full quality what your eyes can see. This allows the developers to turn up the graphics quite a lot. Still not to the extent of PC VR with a great graphics card, but still really good. You can play games that you couldn't play previously. Number 2. So the second feature I would say is the lack of light leakage on the PSVR 2 is incredible. On the Quest 2, you never feel fully immersed as there's always some light leakage. I'm sure you can come up with a physical mod to try and fix that issue. But the PSVR 2 has it naturally. Number 3. Bigger FOV. The PSVR 2 has a bigger FOV, 110 degrees, which is around 20 degrees more than the Quest 2. Meaning you get to see more and are more immersed. It's not by much, but it's still somewhat noticeable when you go back to the Quest 2. Number 4. The head haptics. This is where your headset rumbles. For example, if you get shot in the head, or use a powerful weapon in Resident Evil 8, or crash your car head-on in Gran Turismo 7, your headset will vibrate or rumble. Now, I would still class this as a gimmick, as it's not that useful or really that immersive, but it is cool. And number 5, overall graphics, colors and visuals. I think overall, the graphics for the PSVR 2 are far superior to the Quest 2. It's not even a competition. But that is obviously expected since the PSVR 2 is using the PS5. The OLED screens are extremely vibrant and have a great dynamic range, meaning more colors pop out. It actually looks beautiful. When I was playing Kayak VR, it honestly looked real. I was like, whoa, I couldn't believe it's in VR. So when it comes to visual fidelity, there is no competition. Yes, there is an issue with screen door, but that's not there all the time. And number 6, the ease of use and quality software. Now this is the best thing for me. The PSVR 2 feels quality and is easy to use. The reason is because it's literally a console VR headset. Consoles are made for one thing, and that's gaming. So that's what it's best at, and Sony is at the top of it all. Now the Quest 2 is also easy to pick up and play, but the software doesn't really seem as reliable, but it's probably because it's not as powerful as the PS5. So some games feel a little bit jittery in comparison, and the graphics can even drain your eyes. Now overall, I think the PSVR 2 is a good headset, and great for the PS5, and has some great games. The must-plays are easily GT7, Resident Evil 8, Horizon, and potentially the soon-to-be-released Switchback VR. Plus, there are so many more games like Song in the Smoke and many more. And there are apparently over 100 PSVR 2 games in production. We need to remember that this is PlayStation. They had loads of developers developing games for the PSVR 1, which was like a Frankenstein monster of VR, with those awful Move controllers, and an extremely old camera tracking you. So I'm sure there will be a lot of amazing games coming out soon for the PSVR 2. But maybe you're asking, should you buy the PSVR 2? Well, I'll give you the different scenarios. If you have a PS5, but you don't have a gaming PC, and you're thinking, is the PSVR 2 better or is the Quest 2 better to buy? If you have very limited funds and just enough to buy a headset, I suggest you get the Quest 2 because you can get a lot of free games on the Quest 2. However, if you have money to spend on games, then definitely get the PSVR 2. You won't regret it. Now, if you have a powerful gaming PC, then go for the Quest 2 over the PSVR 2, just because you'll get more bang for your buck. Until we can get decent PC VR support for the PSVR 2, which I suspect will be sooner rather than later. So if that's what you're interested in, maybe wait if you can. If you don't have a PS5 at all, and you only want VR, so weren't planning on getting a PS5 for other games, then definitely go for the Quest 2. Otherwise, the cost is a little too high to justify. I think that generally covers most scenarios. However, if you are looking to get the Quest 2, I would probably wait until September, when the Quest 3 will most likely be coming out. Otherwise, you'll be getting quite old tech, and in the VR space, that's a long time. Well, that's all folks. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it helpful. If so, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Well, thanks for watching. Have a great day, stay safe, and see you next time.